everyone. Welcome back to the Design Duo. Today we are sitting in Allure and we have our special guest speaker, Jamie Wallace with Calla Designs from Fergus Falls, Minnesota, joining us. We became friends with Jamie through referral, actually. And not only that, but we've also followed her on Facebook and Instagram and seen her work. And we like to unite women together. And so invited Jamie up to see our showroom and visit with us. And it became a friendship. So here we are. We're going to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho with Jamie next week and learning some chief architect. And we're going to bunk up together. She's going to learn who we really are.
Scary.
But exciting. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you, ladies. It's been really fun to get to know all of you. And I'm looking forward to next week. Hopefully you put up with me being the lone man ranger with your crowd.
Hopefully you can put up with us. No, it'll be great. You'll fit right in. So I can see the tattoos. You'll fit right in. Be great. So just explain, introduce yourself if you don't mind,
Sure.
where you live, what you do, and just elaborate on that a little bit.
Sure. So I'm Jamie Wallace with Calla Designs. I've had my studio in Fergus Falls for the last 13 years. Been independent all that time, and one-man band. I subcontract out all my crew, so I have a couple of great teams that I work with to put the work together for me, but in-house it's just me, so my studio is by appointment, and that's worked well for us. It gets a little crazy at times. There's definitely things that fall to the bottom of the list, social media being a big piece of that. That's not my favorite thing here, but I would say overall it works really well. We're in a really cool location downtown. We moved in about 2 years ago, did a big remodel of one of the old buildings downtown Fergus, and it's worked out really well. I'm in the space with a group of realtors, so we do referrals back and forth, and we're both a little bit by appointment there in that location. So it's worked out really well for us.
I have one quick question I want to ask, how did you come up with Calla Designs? Is that your favorite flower?
That was the
Tell
flower.
me that story.
That was the flower in our wedding, and I had been employed at a floor-to-ceiling store for 8 years prior to going independent. Had a great employer, good guy to work for, but I always just I knew I wanted to work for myself. My husband was rather concerned about that. I had a salary job, I had benefits, and so to have me go off on my own,
the security factor
for sure had him a little bit nervous, and so he and a good business friend of ours kind of put me through some hoops before I went independent. And when it came down to naming the business, Wally's Designs didn't really work for me.
Not quite as appealing.
Wasn't quite as appealing. So I chose the flower from our wedding, which was Calla lilies.
Super cool.
Oh, that's so
very
sweet.
nice.
That's special.
It worked out well.
Great story. I will never forget that.
Yeah, that was cool.
Awesome.
What does he think of everything now that it's been 13 years?
He's pretty excited about it. He was concerned about our community is pretty conservative, so he was thought you should go to Detroit Lakes or you should go to Perham.
Yeah.
And Fergus Falls was just home for me. I didn't want to have to change, and so it's been pretty exciting. He loves the new location. I have a loading dock there. It's a little easier to take semis, so he doesn't have to come in after a 12, 14-hour workday anymore to help me offload trucks. I can take care of it on my own, so that's been a good thing for us.
Super cool.
Yeah.
Well, you kind of led me right into one of my first questions, and that was, what are some design trends that you see in Fergus Falls versus like what we have here in Detroit Lakes? How are they similar, different? Talk about that a little bit.
I guess I haven't done a lot of work, to be honest, in the Detroit Lakes DL area, so you'll have to tell me how it might vary or different. But where I'm fortunate is being in Fergus, I get a little bit of everything. I have egg clients that are coming from the Wapton Farm region, and then also Lakes Country. We have Otter Tail Lake, Battle Lake, so I have a little bit of everything, and that's really what I love about being in Fergus Falls is every project is unique. Plus, then core projects right in town. We have some really neat history within our community, so there's some beautiful old homes, historic homes that I've had the privilege of working on, as well as some new construction. So it's really a cool little pocket that I've found.
Yeah, very cool. So I will just preface this. We are at Allure during business hours today, so if you see some stragglers in the background, we normally do this before we open, but just to clarify that for anybody watching. Okay, so I think we're actually just going to start with like a rapid fire game.
Oh, boy.
And so don't put too much thought into this. Just whatever you first come up with, I'll ask you a this or that type
everybody
question.
like answer all the same time or separately?
Yeah. Let's see here.
You make the rules, Cass.
Yeah, game maker Cass over here. I'll just say your name.
Okay.
It'll be your turn to answer, and you'll all answer all the questions, but it'll be a this or that, kind of a quick thing. Don't need to tell me why. Just tell me what you like more. You like that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Got this.
We will start with an easy one. Shiplap or painted ceilings? Jamie, go.
Shiplap.
Scott.
Shiplap.
Shiplap.
Shiplap. Yeah. Okay. Roxanne, you start. Quartz or granite countertops?
Quartz.
Quartz.
I say granite.
Ooh. We have some debate. We have some debate. I'd love to ask.
Okay, can we
why.
circle back?
Yeah, we'll circle
later.
back. Yeah,
Okay.
we'll circle back. I'm like, I want to know. I said we wouldn't explain, but okay. Wood or vinyl planking?
Wood.
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 Yeah.
Okay, I know my answer to this one, and I'll probably differ from yours, but style or comfort, you can only pick one. Go.
Style.
I would say comfort because most people think that you can't have both, but you can.
Not in this question.
There was no
Skip.
explaining, remember?
Okay. Well,
No explaining. It's one or the
we'll
other.
circle back around.
I would say comfort.
Me
Yeah.
too, 100%.
Comfort.
I don't care if it's the ugliest thing you've
Heels or
ever
tennis
seen.
shoes?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Like, look at that. This will
Tennis
say
shoes.
enough. Yeah.
Cushion, sandals, or heels.
Well, you surprised me, Roxanne.
Yeah,
Okay.
me too.
I know Sky's answer. I think I know Sky's and Roxy's answers. Neutrals or color?
Color.
Color.
Neutral.
Yeah, I thought you would say neutral. I thought you'd say neutral.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I did.
Mm.
Modern or rustic?
Rustic.
Modern.
Modern.
They're not gonna let me go to Idaho
yeah.
next week.
You're out. No. This is perfect because I
This
feel like
is
we're answering our
perfect.
question from like Fergus Falls and Detroit Lakes, like
Yeah.
right
There we
now,
go.
like because we didn't finish explaining that, right? But
yeah.
maybe this is our answer.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
It's shining through the this or that speed round questions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Painted cabinets or wood cabinets?
Wood.
I knew this one would be interesting one too. Rapid fire.
If I had to choose between the two, that's hard.
Well, it's a this or that game, so you got it. Whatever your heart says first.
I'm going to say wood.
Ooh, nice. Me too.
I'm stuck.
I'm stuck. I just had to pick one. So
Oh. I'm going for wood right now. That's what I'm
Nice.
currently
Yeah.
feeling.
Nice. Good job.
I'm currently
All
feeling
right.
wood. I'm kind of over the painted, so
Might change.
no
later.
explaining.
Yep. No explaining.
we'll come back to that.
Okay. Shout out to Megan for this question. If you guys don't know Megan, that's the
Oh,
office
Megan.
administrator.
Woo-hoo.
We love her. Shout out.
Yes.
Okay. Tile backsplash or countertop backsplash? Like when the countertop continues up.
Countertop.
Countertop.
It's a fancy look.
Easy maintenance.
I'm going to say countertop.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, this one's so easy. Chandelier or ceiling fan?
Chandelier.
Chandelier.
Yeah.
Chandelier. Chandelier.
Why are ceiling fans so ugly?
Yeah, I know.
People are like, oh, you
Hey,
can get the lights that have the fan on them.
That
like,
goes back to
nuh-uh.
like, okay, when it was style or comfort, that could be like function or style.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a total style thing right there.
It
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
It totally is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You would
Yep.
choose style. Yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
How often do you really use a ceiling fan, though? I don't ever.
I have one in my bedroom and I cannot sleep without it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like that air blowing on
Me
my
either. I
face.
hate it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Mm-hmm.
I have two in the house that are going 24/7.
You like
but I'm
it.
in an old farmhouse, so
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's hot in there.
Situational.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this one is kind of weird and maybe not that good, but 2 larger pendants over your kitchen island or 3 smaller ones?
Too larger.
Two larger.
I would have to say 3.
3?
I gotta do odd numbers. It's just an odd number thing.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
OCD.
Yeah.
Hey, now I know your answer to one of the upcoming questions then.
All right. Okay, carpet or area rugs?
Area
Area
rugs.
rugs.
Area rugs for sure.
I felt like that one was going to be pretty clear too. Okay, this one will be interesting. Leather or fabric furniture?
Leather.
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 Is that a maintenance thing?
Kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
Life.
There's a lot of factors
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
Smell.
Mm.
Smell.
Smells
yeah,
good.
fabric.
Yeah, it does smell good with
Mm.
fabric, you know.
Okay, round or rectangular dining table?
Round.
Round.
I hate to do it, but I would say rectangular.
I love it.
Buddy, this is good. Okay, this is the question I think you were referring to, Sky, that you might know the answer. Symmetrical or asymmetrical?
Symmetrical.
Symmetrical.
That's hard.
You're totally asymmetrical, Roxanne.
I am asymmetrical.
But not always.
Not always.
Well, there are definitely
There's
situations
balance.
where, yeah.
Situations.
There's
Yeah,
balance.
Balance is a better way. I would say
Yeah.
balance
Yes.
is better
True.
than symmetrical.
True. Okay.
Well then, okay. Well, I guess this is.
She's like, that's way more than what I asked for. But
Well, I don't have.
Oh,
I
this
don't
is
write these
interesting.
questions. I just read them. I don't know how
It's
to
so
follow.
interesting because you have 3 designers with different styles, and
Yep.
this is quite inspiring, to be honest.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
think
wait till
it's
we
good.
can talk and explain why.
Yeah. When can we do that?
This is the last one,
'Kay.
and I feel like it's kind of not that exciting to end on. And
Okay.
anyways, okay. Would you like a matching furniture set or like a mix set where you have a sofa and accent chairs?
Mixed.
Mixed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. See, that was kind
That
of
was easy.
Okay.
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah. How can you end on that kind of question?
Well, I
Cass?
didn't write these.
Guilty.
I just read them. Today I read them in advance. Normally I just show up and then I'm like, oh, you got a script? Nice. All right. Well, what was one that we wanted to circle back to?
Let's go to the granite versus
Yeah,
quartz one,
yeah.
Yeah, I'm
'cause
Let's
curious
go back
here.
through the
Because
list.
I think that go ahead, Jamie. Tell me
I
why.
am personally torn when she asked that. It's like, why does it have to be one or the other? I've seen where it can be mixed also, and that's incredibly cool too. So
Right, right. The reason I say granite is just the uniqueness. It's one of a kind. Some of my favorite memories with clients have been going through the slab process selection
sure.
and
Mhm.
finding that perfect piece that you're not going to find anyplace else. But for maintenance, for any other reason, I would say quartz is the way to go. But I just love the uniqueness of stone.
It's
Every
definitely more
slab's different.
natural.
Yep.
Right? Like even when we're talking real stone versus cultured stone on a house or a fireplace or
Right.
anything like that. Once you know too, the difference between the real stone and the cultured stone. I think quartz is absolutely, the maintenance part of it is probably a huge factor,
Right.
especially in my time frame of life right now with kids and everything else. But I agree with you that the granite's got a lot of natural, nice.
Well, like
you
the
know,
authenticity of
movement.
it, like you said, every single piece is different, and even
Right.
if it comes from the same boulder, there's still slices that are all different from one
Right.
another. So, yeah, I totally agree with the interest factor of granite being super enticing for the right client, but for people who want the easiest maintenance, who cook with turmeric and curry and spaghetti sauce and all kinds of stuff all the time,
Right.
quartz is
Yeah,
for
I'm
me.
like, what's that
Well,
the first
exactly.
thing she
And I would say, I mean, absolutely, it's 90% of
You don't
of
know what
what's going in the
turmeric
houses.
is?
Sorry.
No.
Well, we know what it is, but like, why was
Wow.
that the first thing?
It's not like pepper and salt.
Turmeric.
In her defense, turmeric would stain it. It's awful.
Yeah, yeah.
Awful,
Yeah.
no.
It's just one of those things that you use that could stain things, and
I
it
was
won't
thinking
stain
more like
quartz.
mustard powder. Is that a thing?
Yeah, I don't know.
It is a thing. It is.
Don't
Anyways,
cook much.
I do lots of cooking. Sky can cook very well,
But chooses
Just-
not to.
Yeah.
It's more of a Midwestern diet instead of the
Yeah, it's like
Indian
casseroles
curry
and
and
hot
everything.
dishes and
Tater
Yeah.
tot hot dish.
yeah, like that's
Mm.
my jam. Oh boy. Okay, back on track. Give us another question.
Okay, so y'all agreed on that one. Okay, you said neutrals. These guys said color. I mean, they're very
you
broad
can't have one
questions,
without
but
the other, though.
yeah.
I feel like you
Right.
can't just have every single thing in your home completely neutral all the time. Personally,
Correct. Correct.
you have to have a relief of some kind of color. So if it was to choose between a wild, bold, crazy design with lots of fun color
Mhm.
versus everything being neutral, I would go for the crazy. I like
Yeah.
the bold, interesting, colorful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Right. I just like my overall palette to be a little more neutral and let the pops of color or pattern shine through where they need to give
Sure.
the
Well-
personality in each room. So
Yeah.
it's just
Agreed.
my base point would be more neutral, but I
Yeah.
love to accent with the pops of color.
Sure.
Agreed.
I would second that. Pops
Yeah.
of color can be easy. Pillows, throw blankets, area rugs.
Right.
Yeah.
Things that are a little easier to change out, less
Mhm.
investment. I mean, more
Yeah.
often than not, they're not going to redo cabinets
Right.
repeatedly
Right.
or
Right.
but paint, accessories.
Hey, let's talk about
Mhm.
this wood cabinet situation because
Yeah.
I find it really interesting that all of us said wood cabinet.
I'm so
it was a
happy that
debate
they're
for
all
you.
coming back.
yeah.
Yes.
And the painted is nice, and you can mix them and so on and so forth. But what are some of the wood species that you're seeing now at cabinets?
Quarter sawn white oak seems to be hot
Yes,
right now.
very hot.
Yep, very
Mhm.
popular. And then a lot of rustic hickory. I do a lot of lake home stuff. So the rustic woods seem to be very popular,
Mhm.
but more the dark stains.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That does.
We've been
make me
doing a
happy.
lot of rustic maple, which is actually like a really
Oh, okay.
clean, simple look. I mean, you see the grain, but you also get a little bit of those knots in there too, which
Yes.
has the character, but not quite as much variation as a hickory or an
Right.
alder would have. So it stands up really nice and looks pretty consistent, but then you also get the character. So it's kind of
Yes.
like a nice
Yeah.
in between.
Yep.
I know
Yeah.
it sounds kind of old school, but I've actually always been a fan of cherry cabinets.
Mm-hmm.
I still have cherry cabinets. Just recently even put some in my dining room within the last couple of years, and I
They're
love
gorgeous.
the richness
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
that
Yep.
they bring. So yeah,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
this might
every
sound,
situation's different.
Absolutely.
yeah, this might sound stupid, but I feel like the wood will withstand the test of time. Like it's gonna still be in style 30 years from now. Like
Well, maybe
you
not
know?
though, Cass. You got golden oak and
Yeah.
you know
Right. The stuff that's
all
just
the
like too
orange
much.
oak that just got
Yeah.
ripped out and is probably now
Right.
coming back.
Right.
We actually
Yeah.
just had a, not to change subjects, but our rep was just in here telling
Oh,
us
gosh.
that this morning Roxanne and I were looking at some furniture, oranges and greens coming back.
Really?
Yeah.
So
70s palette, baby.
reminds
You
me
look
of
so
my
excited
grandma.
about that, Jamie.
Right. That'll be
Right?
great.
So yeah, she had a green couch picked out, and then we had some rusted
liked the
like
green
orange
couch.
chairs picked out, and I was like, Roxanne,
Not to go
we
together.
can't put these together.
They weren't supposed to go together. And then she looks up what's trending right now in 2023 for furniture, and they said green and orange mixed. And
Oh,
I was
no.
like, no way.
Oh no.
Oh,
So I don't know
Except
that
for
I
look
would
at
mix
that
them.
arrangement right there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Orange
Yeah.
and green.
Yeah.
Oh, great. Okay, we'll move on. I feel like there wasn't a lot of other debate ones.
Yeah, we don't need it.
We all agreed on
Keep
wood
going.
versus vinyl plank, and I do
Yeah.
want to touch on that though.
Right. Okay, go ahead.
Because going back to the authenticity thing, like
Mhm.
I grew up in the South, we don't have a lot of temperature fluctuations to where it's a huge problem in the house to have solid floors, solid hardwood floors.
They got lots of humidity to control that.
We do have lots of humidity, yeah. But I will say, if you have the means to be able to do a hardwood floor versus a vinyl plank, I think there's something to be said about the character and about the patina and about the lifeline of that product, because you can get something that's a engineered hardwood floor that can still be refinished essentially if you absolutely had to, but how often do people actually do that
Exactly.
is another thing. So
yeah.
I like the character. I like that it can, show its years of wear and things like that, but it's also something that adds another layer of richness and depth to your home that you may not get out of a vinyl plank.
Yeah, I
And
would agree.
value.
Sure thing.
And
Yep,
value.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
think people are afraid because the vinyl planking came out about scratching, water, all the things, especially being on the lake. But
Mhm.
I mean, I live on the lake. I've got hardwood floors throughout. Never had a problem.
Yep.
It's not like people are coming and just dumping water off of themselves, or
Right.
you know,
Right.
everybody's drying off before they come in, and even the kids that don't. It's not like that little bit of water is gonna destroy anything, or a
Exactly.
little bit of sand, or you know.
Yeah. Well, and the new finishes that they have now, the oil finishes versus the old gloss finishes that they used
Agree.
to put on
Yeah.
hardwood floor, are
Agree.
so
Yep.
much more forgiving.
Are you selling a lot of wood floors in Fergus Falls
I
area?
would say it's still the majority of the vinyl planks, just for that comfort factor. People just
Yeah.
have it
Yep.
in their head that it's the most durable, and they've
Mhm.
come really far. I mean, there's some fantastic patterns out
There
there
really
for
is.
it, but we're getting more and more back into that engineered
Good.
hardwood, wider
Mhm.
plank, especially
Good.
with that white oak look. So that's nice to see too.
Oh, for
We've
sure.
seen a lot
Yep.
of that too.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, what was interesting, I think, too, is we had one of our reps come who reps some hardwood floors for us, and they said, well, you have to think about it this way whenever you're talking to your customers, too, that the Viking ships and all of these things that were in it, with water all the time still are pristinely preserved.
Right.
And it's not like you're necessarily going to have a scenario where you get a little water and the whole floor swells and you got to replace it all. It's more so when it sits and it's saturated for a long period of time where you're not, occupying your home or something like that. But I would never put hardwood floors in a laundry room. I personally would never put hardwood floors in a bathroom necessarily with a soaker tub.
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right.
But
Yeah,
in
that
the
makes
right
sense.
application, I think, why not?
I don't think turmeric could stain it either.
I want hardwood floor countertops. The turmeric won't stain it.
Uh-huh.
Right. Oh, Roxy.
I had turmeric stain my laminate countertops, and that's why I said that. Okay.
It's like a horror backstory. Okay.
Some people will understand.
What do you say we get to know Jamie a little better?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like
do it.
these questions preluded it, but so can you describe your personal design style to us?
In my home, I would say it's more farmhouse. Simple
Mhm.
lines, clean lines. We're in an old farmhouse. It's about a 120-year-old house.
Mm.
Slowly taking it room by room to remodel it. And I would say we both like a little bit of craftsman, but farmhouse, modern
Mhm.
farmhouse.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess, do you have anything to add to that? I don't know.
Well, I just think it sounds fitting.
Yeah,
For what you're,
right,
the
right.
style of home that you have, and that
Right.
you're building on that. And as we all know, and we're doing this for a living,
Yeah.
it's harder to do it for yourself when you go home.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge. And then everybody wants to see your house, and then you're going, it's almost like you don't want anybody to
Right.
come over
Maybe
because they're
next
going
year.
to judge you based on your occupation.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay. So as a designer, do you get sick of things in your house like more often than you would say the average?
There was a period in time where I would say absolutely. I would
Mhm.
say when I was first in college, my first 5-7 years out in the industry, my husband would just roll his eyes, constantly changing, rearranging
Mhm.
furniture, changing out paint. I feel like I've matured or mellowed in the
Sure,
last
yeah.
probably 5-7 years. We moved into our farmhouse about 8 years ago, and I would say the colors that we painted that when we moved in were very similar to what I landed on in my last house. So I
Mhm.
think I've kind of found my safe
You've
zone.
mellowed out a
I've
little
mellowed
bit,
out.
yeah.
I've mellowed out, and he's relieved. My husband's relieved. This house is full of windows and openings,
Oh,
so I
nice.
can't rearrange furniture. It has to be what it is.
I like that.
So he appreciates that.
That's kind of cool. Okay, so if you could count, I mean, you kind of just touched on that, so I'm going to skip it. So what inspires you in design? Not necessarily in your own home, and you guys can answer this too. I think it's a good question. But like working with clients, what is stuff that inspires you?
A lot of times it's getting to know their personality and what inspires them. But for me, I love to have nature or outdoor, bringing the outdoors in, especially in our region. Our seasons
Mhm.
change so much. Our
Mhm.
beautiful seasons are sometimes a little shorter than we'd like. So kind of those earthy elements
Yeah.
outdoors, bringing it in.
Mhm.
that's a
Absolutely.
good answer.
Yeah.
I love in touching on that too. Like obviously, always got to bring the outdoors in, but whenever I meet with clients, I think it's kind of setting the parameters for them, like what their priorities are, and breaking down. Okay, this is functionality, what I need, and then from there, it's more so. Do you have an experience, or do you have a story, or do you have something that could really make this feel more personable that we can draw into your design? And for me, I think it's, like you said, getting to know the client, and then also finding something that speaks to them that makes it feel very custom and special, to then bring
Mhm.
that into the design somehow.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you guys pretty much answered it. I think that ultimately it's the client that inspires you with what they're bringing in. Everybody brings something different to the table
Yeah.
with ideas and their home and design in general. But I'm also constantly always looking, on Pinterest and online, and going to markets are inspiring, and going to classes like we're going to be attending next week are inspiring, and just always staying on top of design trends and the new,
Yeah.
up and coming things to better yourself as an interior designer, to be able to got a fly bugging me here. But to be able to, give your best updated
Mm-hmm.
overall.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, I think it's cool to watch somebody get inspired. Like Sky's working on this project. It took one piece of colorful artwork and it just spiraled from there, and the theme changed time and time again. And then it was just like, now it's just this cool thing that started with one piece of artwork, you know?
And it really
Yes.
did.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's so
Yeah.
fun when you can
Mhm.
find that with with the
Mhm.
clients that you're working with. I'll tell, especially if you're working with a couple that the husband and wife might not be on the same page, and they're
Right.
really struggling with where they want to go with the project. I'll always say, find that piece that speaks to both of you.
Right.
Whether it's
Mhm.
that countertop, whether it's that piece of flooring, whether it's, like you said, a memory from a great trip they were on.
Mm-hmm.
Find that inspiration piece that you can
Yeah.
all get excited about it, because it's going to be a stressful process at
Right.
some
True.
point. So let's get excited where we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Hey,
sure.
that brings
Yeah.
one of the other questions was a husband and wife one on there. Can
Yeah.
you find that and read that? Because what you just said is a good point about The
I believe it's on
inspiration.
this page I dropped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did
Okay.
you find it?
So pretty much men versus women. What differences do you see in working with them? That's what it's here.
You know, the unique part is I'm sure you guys experience the same thing is they switch roles. I mean, there's some couples where the husband wants nothing, where I won't even have met the husband until it's time to sit down and write contracts.
Right.
Then all of a sudden he comes to the table and he's involved. He wants to know what's this
Right.
going to cost. And then there's the opposite end of the spectrum where the husband is very much the color guy. He's the one
Yeah.
that does the cooking. He's the one that does
Uh-huh.
the
I've
home
had
decor.
both kinds of
And so it's
clients, and
very,
kind of interesting.
it is.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
really interesting. When my old job, there were two of us. It was a male designer and myself, and it was really fun. We used to like going out on projects together because we would kind of almost interview the husband and wife
Right.
independently and come back to the shop and
That's
get
cool.
completely different feedback from what the house visit was
Oh,
like.
wow.
And
Yeah.
so now that's one thing I would say working independently that I miss the most is having that feedback. I would imagine
To
even in
bounce
your
off of each other.
Yep, bounce off of each other.
Mhm.
If two of you go to a job site, I have an
Right.
intern now, and she'll pick up on things that I hadn't picked up on, and vice versa.
Or you
Yeah,
get stuck
cool.
on something and
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. So
I agree. I always think that, like, for me, when I'm trying to schedule an appointment with, one of the spouses, I like to have them both come in.
Yes.
I always kind of ask, is there a time that works for both of you to come in? Because I've had it happen too many times where the wife or the husband comes in by themselves and they make the selections, and then we do all the price, and then the other one doesn't like it, and then we're doing it all over again,
Right.
and we're just spinning circles until
Right.
they can both get in there to agree upon something that they're both gonna like.
right,
Mhm.
right, exactly.
Is it okay? This is just one I came up with. Is it frustrating or kind of exciting when you get two people, like a couple that both just are like, yeah, whatever you think? Is that frustrating or do you enjoy that?
Definitely 100% enjoy that.
I enjoy
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Both kind of, though, because you do want to know what I don't want to do anything you're not going to like. So tell me what
Exactly.
you like.
When
you
they're
know?
just like, I
Exactly.
don't care.
Give
yeah.
me some information, and then I can build off of that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think people who give you feedback and get excited about things that they wouldn't have initially thought of on their own,
Right.
like if you have a unique design or you're pitching something that's just kind of out of the ordinary, and they're like, oh my gosh, I would never thought of this, and they're pretty agreeable as far as being open-minded and that kind of
Yeah.
thing. If that's what you're talking about, absolutely.
Yeah.
But somebody who has no opinion, they're just like, well, I have to do this because I had a flood in my bathroom and this is not enjoyable for me to do at all.
Yeah, right,
That's
right,
kind
right.
of difficult
Yeah.
to work
Right,
with too.
right.
So
right.
yeah.
Mhm. Well, and it's fun
Yeah.
because, sometimes it can be overwhelming in the showroom too, obviously, with all the samples and everything. If you can get a general idea of what they like, put something together for them in advance, and then kind of build off of that.
Yeah.
At least they can come in and say, no, I don't like that, but I like this. And then you kind of know, okay,
Right,
well,
right.
let's build off of that then.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. All right. I
Good
didn't-
question, Cass.
Thanks. I just pull from like when you're like in a group or something and you're like, what do you guys want to do? And everybody's like, I don't know. I don't care. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always that one that's
Or
like,
where do
well,
you want to go to eat?
Yeah. And then
Right.
it's like I'm the one who always chooses, and it frustrates me because then I'm like, well, then you don't get to be mad with the choice that I
If
make.
I
'cause
make
you
the
gave me no,
decision,
you
yeah.
gave me no feedback. So, anyways, so I was just kind of rooted from that. Let me prep for the next question. I was trying to listen to you guys. Okay. This is kind of a fun question. What piece in your portfolio are you most proud of? Like, can you think of a specific project that you're particularly proud of?
There's a lot of P's there, Cass.
Yeah, I know. I
Right,
was like,
right.
well, I had the sentence in my brain, and I was like stopping myself, but I ended up saying it anyways.
I would say a new build farmhouse that we did a few years ago. They had come from their family farmstead, so they had some really unique pieces they wanted to incorporate into the new house.
Ooh.
But it was new construction, so then we were doing some updated finishes. So just the blend of the old and the new.
Cool.
The homeowner and I we meshed really well. We became good friends over the project, and that's probably one of my favorites.
Cool.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Do you guys have one in mind?
I don't know if I have one specific one.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple of jobs that stand out in my mind that have been just extraordinarily rewarding because it was either a really difficult process and took a really long time and finally got to the finished product and they were just like over the moon happy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say one in particular. I think that from every single job I've had a lot of reward. And that's just all that I look forward to and I love about my job is that everyone is so specific and so different in their own ways that I don't know. I don't have one that is my number one. I have one right now I'm working on that might be my number one though.
Ooh.
Can't tell you more about that.
Yeah. Ooh, stay tuned.
Yeah.
I think Bucks Mill Brewing was a really great one for Roxanne and I do together. It was our
really
first
special.
big commercial project that we kind of were able to grab the reins and
they
think
really
of all
trusted
the
us
details,
with a
and
lot of
they trusted us
suggestions,
and they valued our opinions and all the things. And that was when you don't have somebody fighting you along the way. It just makes the things so much easier, and you can actually, because you can see it in your head.
Yes.
Right.
But they can't. And so when they trust that, and then you just go through that process, and it's rewarding, like Roxanne said at the end. And then I really like the loft area above this pole barn building that we did. Guest cabin.
Oh yeah, that
That
one
was started
stunning.
from scratch, and again, the client was very trustworthy. Just going through the process, I was able to put some really fun finishes in there, and then decorate the entire thing. So when you are able to do a project from
start
studs
to
Complete
decor, it's like that's like the ultimate
Right.
dream job.
well, every
Absolutely.
single detail is, touched by us, and that's kind of unique
Yeah.
too. Because when you go through a renovation and then people put like old furniture and stuff in there, it's kind of like, wah,
Yeah.
you want it to be.
You just want that
special.
trust because you know
Yeah.
what you're doing.
Yep.
And so, and when they let you decorate, it's like icing on the cake because
Sure.
it really is the icing on the cake at the end of the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the finishing touches. Okay, so that leads to the next question, I guess. What area of the home do you think requires the most detail?
Kitchen.
Kitchen followed closely by bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
It's misleading, but so many people think because it's a smaller space, it's going to be an easier project. That is
Yeah.
not
No.
often the
No.
case.
Right. Yeah.
So true.
Oh, that's really hard.
Those are two spaces that everybody goes into when they
Right.
come into your house. you know?
Right.
You're
Yeah.
guaranteed to be seen.
Nailed both of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you prioritize your tasks for a renovation? Like, especially if it's something you're doing from studs, how do you?
Series of many meetings, checklists, and then a lot of pulling your hair out, winging it day by day, to be honest. I mean, you
Yeah.
think you go into a day thinking, oftentimes for me, and maybe I need to be more organized. Maybe I can learn from you ladies. But so often I go into a day thinking I know what it looks like. I'll have a 10 o'clock, a 2 o'clock, a 3 o'clock scheduled. And by 9:30, everything's in disarray, and I'm going 3 other places before the 10 o'clock. And if I'm lucky, I'll make the 2 o'clock on time. So it's having I'm very, very fortunate. I have a great team, 2 different teams that work really well together. The subcontractors work back and forth with a couple of different contractors. So we have a great team that way, where oftentimes I'm fortunate that if a fire comes up, I might not even hear about it till the end of the day. And that's, to me, I feel very blessed for that, because if the guys,
that's amazing.
if the guys were calling all the time, with the other projects going on, you want your client to feel like they're the only project that you have going on. And in a perfect
Exactly.
world, that would be it, one at a time every day. But that's not our reality. We're juggling several projects. So it's to have a lot of checklists behind the scenes. How small can you make the font on the said checklist so that you can see everything on one page?
Yeah.
It's to me, that's the thrill of it. That's
Oh,
the
yeah.
thrill of the hunt, is what can I accomplish today?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what skills do interior designers need in order to be successful? Organization, maybe one. I don't know. Or maybe quite the opposite, being able to roll with the punches. What
I
do
think
you
it's a
guys
healthy dose of both.
I think it's gotta be both. You cannot have one without the other.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. A minor in psychology, I think, might be something to reconsider if I was going back to college.
Some counseling,
Counseling, yep.
marriage counseling.
I love it. All right. Well, we are kind of pushing time here, so let's see. I've got a kind of fun question, and then a more serious one, and that's where we'll finish. The fun question is like, how do you nicely tell a client that they have like way too much stuff? You come into a house and it's like hoarder central, and you're in your brain like, how do you approach that?
Go
Go
ahead, Jamie.
Oh, I got some good ones for this.
Yeah, I guess I've maybe because I don't do as much of the decor side of it.
Yeah.
I've been fortunate where that hasn't, because when I'm coming in, a lot of times we're doing a full gut job remodel.
Right.
So there's not really a choice. We have to get it out of the space
Okay.
to do the work. So it's a matter of necessity more than, and I honestly, I can't think of a, I mean, I've seen the shows with
You
the
haven't
hoarders,
been in
but
the
I've been,
hoarders before?
I had one many years ago where it was more of, it was hoarding, and it was not very sanitary. So it was
Oh.
one of
Yeah.
those where you just hold the tape about an inch away from the wall and add it, eyeball it, like this is
Yep.
close enough.
Yep.
But again, in that instance, we were gutting it. So eventually you just, you have an extra thank you gift for the installers up front, because they're not going to be happy about that demo.
Right.
Right.
No kidding.
Oh, wow.
So, but it sounds like you ladies have dealt with that a little bit more.
I think it's one of those things too. I mean, a lot of times whenever you run into those instances, it's just that people have been bogged down by adding on more and more and more into their lives, and they've never taken a step back to walk out of the house and walk in and be like, okay, this is what's making me have this anxiety. This is the part that's making me feel like I can't have that clarity and have the style or the aesthetic that I am trying to achieve because I got too much stuff. So how do you say that? You politely remove them from the space and walk them back in and be like, what in here do you love?
Mm.
And I guarantee you that most people will not say the 15 million things that are on the shelf
Right.
of knickknacks. It's going to be key pieces that you can work around, that you can save and say, you know what, maybe if we scale back on the rest of this, we can really highlight the part that makes you feel like this is really inspiring to you.
That was good, Roxanne.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't top that,
Yeah,
but
that was really good.
Psychology made
was
no
good.
sense.
Cool. But I think that we all get used to living in our homes, and we don't, check it and check ourselves and our living conditions enough. And you get so used to it, like you said, it builds up that it's like getting a fresh eye in that space,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Kind of
Right.
like what you just
Mhm.
said. But I would also, sometimes I just straight up tell people, I think we just really need to simplify. If we could, clear
Right.
some of this stuff and find better storage for this,
Mhm.
or, hire an organizer or things like that, it makes people think a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Yep.
It's no different than when you're getting ready to list your home for sale. The realtors are going to tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so this is the last question I'll ask. What advice would you give a client who's never used an interior designer before? Like maybe someone who needs to be convinced.
Okay, I'm going to answer first.
Okay.
So I think the biggest misperception of hiring an interior designer is that they're going to be expensive. But in all reality, when you're doing a project that you're not hiring an expert like an interior designer in, could actually be more costly for you in the future with
Yes.
different things that go wrong or things that aren't planned out properly.
Or done in the right arrangement of order.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that would be the biggest misperception of
Mhm.
why you should hire an interior designer. And we all work hourly or via contracts, where there's something that we can all help you with. Whether you want an hour of time, 5 hours of time, there's all kinds of ways to make it affordable within every budget.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I would, if it's somebody who's never done a project before, and even the clients who have and they haven't hired a designer when they did a previous project, it's what worked there
Yeah.
and what could we do different to make it go smoother, because we all have such busy lives. And I think oftentimes the client, they have the kids in all the sports. They're working full time. They maybe have an ailing parent. So how can we help ease that burden for them a little bit too? And
Yep.
not just think of it on the dollars and cents side, but how can we make it so you enjoy the process? Because this is a pretty significant investment either way. How can we make it so you enjoy not only the end result, but the process to get
Right,
to that
right.
point?
Mhm.
Exactly.
Help them live through it. That's something
Yeah.
you've said before.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
to help kind of evaluate the preparation for a project of that caliber, if it's
Mhm.
just one bathroom or a whole kitchen, it's like helping kind of arrange and explain to them throughout the whole process, like, okay, you're going to be without a kitchen for 6 weeks or whatever it may be, and kind of
Yeah.
help them plan that whole process so that way they're not like ripping out cabinets and countertops and then they're like, oh crap.
Right.
Being
Find
What
that
are
out.
we
support
doing?
person, you're that support person. You're
Exactly,
the person
yeah.
they're going to call, and you having that person is everything when you're going through a renovation.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The other thing I will say about that is that as interior designers, we are professionals, and we have relationships with all of the skilled trades. So we talk to them on a daily basis. I mean, like, we have a whole family of people that we work with. So if you call your uncle's nephew's cousin's brother over to do some plumbing work or something, and then all of a sudden you can't get a hold of him because it was WeFest last weekend, well, sorry, you know.
Yeah.
When it comes to professionals and people who have a schedule laid out in front of them, even if something, you know, goes awry and we have to kind of diverge from that schedule, at least we can all pick back up where we left off as professionals and get it done as quickly as possible.
Yeah, for sure.
For them as well.
Yeah. Cool.
So with that being said, again, we want to thank you, Jamie, so much for joining us here today.
Yeah, thank you,
on the
ladies, for
podcast.
having
Again,
me.
Jamie's with Calla Lily Designs out of Fergus Falls, Minnesota. You can find her right downtown or give her a call, Facebook, Instagram. And thank you so much for watching the Design Duo today.
Have a great day. Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Bye.